Paul Ryan's office says the speaker is not resigning. This after reports surfaced last night the Republican leader may be stepping down. One congressman even suggested that Whip Steve Scalise would be elected to replace him. All these rumors out there, and, well, they're just rumors, but they do beg the question. Is it time for a shakeup in leadership for both parties? Joining me right now, Fox News contributor Jessica Tarlov and American Majority CEO Ned Ryan. I think you two are going to be in agreement on this one.
I think this would be first time ever,
right?
But it's possible.
Maybe. Well, let me start with you, Jessica. Does the Democratic Party, and I think this is obvious to everyone, given all the Marie Antoinette-like comments that Nancy Pelosi has been making, do they need a shakeup?
I think they're going to end up with a shakeup. I am a big fan of Nancy Pelosi. I think she has been long-term wonderful for the party, and
you're
certainly
like her one and only.
What? No. There are like 10 of us. What she did with getting the ACA passed, and she's also been a prolific fundraiser for the party, which we all know is incredibly important. Says a lot about that. But with the leadership challenge the last time around from Tim Ryan, and with people like Conor Lamb getting elected all over the country, I think there is going to be a shift and a lot of pressure to go younger and more progressive.
Yeah, I think that we are seeing that, and it's probably the healthy thing for that party. Now, in terms of the Republicans, one of the biggest complaints I know you've had, Ned, is that Republicans, a la Paul Ryan, are not fully on board with the Trump administration's agenda. And they're very reluctant to come around on a lot of things. With that in mind, do they also need a change in leadership?
Well, I will say this. I mean, these rumors of Paul Ryan resigning are fake news. I talked with multiple members of Congress, and they said fake news. One of them asked him point blank, are you going to resign? And he said absolutely not. So I don't think you're going to see a leadership change anytime soon on the House side. But, Trish, I think this whole omnibus bill is a sign that Congress is broken. And if you want to talk about leadership that needs to change, Congress is broken because Mitch McConnell is basically letting the Democrats help run the Senate with him. I honestly think some days, Trish, that we have joint majority leaders with Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and one ruling class swamp party. Because let's face it, a lot of these GOP senators, they quite frankly like this broken Congress. They can help out their crony special interest buddies and tuck away those special earmarks in 2,200-page bills that nobody reads. And all of a sudden, look what happens. We have a $1.3 trillion omnibus bill. So if you were to ask me, is leadership change needed? Yes, absolutely. The House actually has been operating like it should be. The Senate's completely broken, and I blame Mitch McConnell for it.
You do. Do you think that the Democrats should also make a shift, Ned?
No, please, dear God, do not dethrone the Queen of San Francisco. Do not dethrone the Queen of San Francisco. She is great for us. She is writing our attack ads. Between she and Hillary with crumbs, deplorables, backwards Trump voters, I mean, this, in all seriousness, though, Trish, this is a problem for Democrats in those 10 red states where you have Democrat senators running for re-election. Hillary and Nancy Pelosi are writing Republican attack ads for the midterms.
Yeah, I would add to that, and I agree with you. And you saw Claire McCaskill being incredibly outspoken about Hillary Clinton's comments and saying you shouldn't insult anybody, but certainly don't be insulting anyone in my state, which is in a deep red state, and we do have 10 up for re-election. I would add to this on the Paul Ryan side of things that there are kind of two sides to this coin. Yes, you can ask him point blank what he's going to do, but there have been a lot of surprise resignations. Jason Chaffetz resigned out of nowhere. Trey Gowdy not going to run for re-election. There are lots of committee heads on the Republican side who are not going to run again. And we are forgetting as well, Paul Ryan didn't even want this job. Remember when he begrudgingly took it and he was like, well, I want to make sure that I can spend time with my family. So under these circumstances, when he's pushing forward an agenda that the president really doesn't have much interest in it, I could see why he might want to bow out gracefully before.
It's kind of a thankless job, right, Ned?
It seems
if you either, buy into what the president's doing here. I think it's been hard for him. I think it's been hard for a lot of Republicans there because they're kind of like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like where it's going. And I worry, much as you do, I think, Ned, that it's the swamp influence, that they have the ear of many corporations and lobbyists that have their own interests at stake. And so suddenly everybody's saying, oh, we got a huge trade war coming thanks to President Trump and his administration. And so they're fighting back against that when we all know that if we don't start to confront the reality of what China is doing now, it's going to be our kids that are paying the price, Ned.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think we're already at China's already declared economic warfare on us. I think people are just waking up to that fact. But no, you're right. And Trish, you kind of alluded to this just now. the interests of corporate America and the American people, the American working class, are not always aligned. And the problem here that you see in Republican politics, but I know even in Democrat politics, a lot of the big donors to these parties are from corporate interests. They are not aligned with the American voters. So there's not alignment between Trump with the outside devolve power from D.C., drain the swamp. I mean, again, this omnibus bill had nothing to do with draining the swamp. It's actually feeding the swamp. It was a triumph of the swamp. But it goes back to some of these structural problems within party politics of who's actually footing the bills, who's funding things. And I tell you what, when it comes down to the leadership, there are a lot of people with corporate interests, special interests, that are right there in their ear whispering, you want to do this, you want a next big check, you need to do this. And sadly, this is what continues to happen in D.C. year after year.
Yeah, that is interesting, though, that you point that out about corporate America not being on the same page as the American voter. When you saw the Republican bill was big slashes to the corporate tax rate, but not to the individual.
Oh, no. They gave the individuals a great deal, too. The only individuals that really didn't benefit from that, if you are a high earner in New York or California.
Yeah.
But I would say we needed to do that on the corporate side, and they did give a pretty big one to but that's a story for another day.
Another segment.
Thank you, Jessica.